Goedemorgen allemaal. Ik dacht dit keer doe ik het andersom. Ik zag een pop-up in mijn tablet, maar die kon ik niet tappen. En daarin stond, 10:15, half uurtje geleden, dat er een bombardement plaatsvond van Rusland op Oekraïne in Kiev tijdens gesprekken daaromtrent. Schip met Russische olie geweigerd in Zweden op weg naar Rotterdam. Dit gebeurde er vannacht. Rusland schiet VN-baas in de rug. Het zal is het letterlijk? De Verenigde Staten gaan onderzoek doen naar de Russische raketaanvallen gisteravond op Kiev. Bij de aanval op onder meer een wooncomplex zouden meerdere slachtoffers zijn gevallen. De Oekraïense hoofdstad werd door 5 raketten geraakt. Juist op het moment dat de Oekraïense president Zelensky zijn gesprekken afrondde met VN-chef Antonio Guterres. Naar verluidt zou een raket zijn ingeslagen in een woonwijk op minder dan een kilometer van de plek waar beiden samen waren. Het is niet duidelijk of dit een mogelijke aanslag was op de Oekraïense president. Volgens Oleksiy Arestovicic, een Oekraïense regeringsadviseur, geldt het allemaal weinig. En was Guterres door Rusland in de rug geschoten, maar dat is nou spreekwoordelijk. Dat staat tussen quotejes. Een beetje rare verslaggeving om dat soort taal te gebruiken in een oorlog. Want is het echt of niet? Ja, je wordt gepikkeld om het te lezen en dat is misschien wel de bedoeling. Ben ik er misschien zelf ook wel ingetuind. Want door die pop-up, maar dat ligt ook aan die nieuws-app, leek het alsof dat net gebeurd was om 10:15. Dat is dus niet het geval, het gaat dus om ergens vannacht. Kritische Russische miljardair Tinkov verkoopt aandeel in door hem opgerichte bank. Oké, nou ja, vannacht dus in ieder geval wel. Dan zijn er heel misschien wel beelden van. Dat was dus of 28 of 29 april, want dat ligt eraan welke tijdzone je vandaan post. Nou, dat is alvast niet. Dan schrijf ik Kiev met K-I-E-V, K-I-E-V. Ja, 10 uur geleden, video. Ja, dit is de kruisraket in een woonwijk. Zo te zien, een kilometer van waar Zelensky en die, wat was het nou? Oh, die heb ik al weggezet. Daar ben ik soms genomen. En een, ja, nou, ik weet het niet, maar we gaan even kijken.
Ебануться! Ебать на!
Ja, dit is dan weer niet vannacht. Niet zo dat het daar in de nacht licht is, zoals in sommige plekken op aarde. Gedurende de tijd van het jaar. En dan denk ik nog eerder aan een waarschuwingsraket dan een echte, want volgens mij kunnen ze die dingen tot op 10 meter nauwkeurig plaatsen. Of ze hadden de verkeerde informatie qua waar ze zaten. Dat kan ook nog natuurlijk. 'Morgens, ik zeg niet goede, ik zeg gewoon 's morgens, nieuwe binnenkomers. Vannacht zijn er 5 kruisraketten gelanceerd die op Kiev zijn ingekomen. Van de Russen naar verluid. Eentje sloeg een kilometer in vanaf de plek waar Zelensky met Guterres een bespreking had. Dus relatief dichtbij. Maar of dat een aanslag betreft, een bewuste, dat is dan weer niet bekend.
Ukrainian forces destroyed 500 Russian mines. During the destruction of mines near Kiev, the sounds of explosions rose. According to footage from the Ukrainian Emergency Service,
nou, die hebben de avond van vannacht gebruikt om hun clipje te promoten. Het gaat over landmijnen. 2 maanden geleden, dat klopt niet, want ik had als filter gezet vandaag. Nog een keer.
'64 in Russia's attacks on Ukraine. It goes on the day. Repeated explosions have been reported in the center of Kherson, Ukraine. The invasion, initiated by Putin's order, has entered day 64. As Russian forces are unable to move at the speed they want in the field, as civilian settlements begin to hit, sanctions from the Western world targeting Moscow are getting heavier and heavier. Kyiv Ukraine, in the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson, a series of explosions boomed near the television tower late Wednesday and at least temporarily knocked Russian channels off the air, Ukrainian and Russian news organizations reported. Kherson has been occupied by Russian forces since early in the war. The Russian state news agency RIA Novosti said missiles and rockets were fired at the city from the direction of the Ukrainian forces to the northwest. RIA Novosti said the broadcast later resumed. It said Russian channels began broadcasting from Kherson last week.
Russia intends to build and field at least 46 heavy Sarmat ICBMs. Successful tests of Russia's latest heavy intercontinental ballistic missile, the Sarmat, have contributed to the creation of 46 complexes of this type, which can strike almost anywhere on the planet. State testing of Russia's latest Sarmat heavy intercontinental ballistic missile is still underway, but the prospect of at least 46 missiles of this type in the Russian arsenal shows that such weapons are capable of effectively defending the country's sovereignty. According to earlier information about the destructive capabilities of the Russian Sarmat missile, the total power of the 46 heavy Sarmat ICBMs is such that they can destroy an area of about 18.5 million square kilometers, which, for example, is comparable to the combined area of such countries as the United States and Canada. The emergence of Sarmat heavyweight ICBMs in Russia is primarily a psychological move that allows the enemy to discourage even the thought of entering into a conflict with Russia. However, this does not mean that Russia will not use such weapons if a threat arises, says the specialist. It is not known yet when exactly the Sarmat missile systems will be put on combat duty.
Oké, momentje, ik moet even wat dingen checken. Oké, daar ben ik weer. Even in het Nederlands. I'm going to talk in Dutch. JB USA 1, welcome. Good morning or night even. Am I at the right channel? Russia war Ukraine. Okay, I am. I'm going to talk for Dutch for a few words. Nee stellen, dat is in de webcam. I can tell this in English too. They will understand. The sound is coming from one of the webcams. All in, well, let me check. Yeah, all in Ukraine. So it was not just moments ago, like half an hour, but it was somewhere this night, Dutch time, like the last 12 hours. 5 rockets were fired on Kiev, and one of them exploded 1 kilometer, 1,000 yards, approximate, away from the location where Zelensky and Guterres from the United Nations had not a summit, but they were talking, a meeting. And now Russia is fueling up the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBM, yeah. So stuff is happening. While I'm checking the news, I'm open for any news or links that you have about the last 12 hours in Kiev, or Ukraine of course. So I'm broadcasting these webcams, but I'm checking the news.
What's up, everybody? This is my second video update for the day, and we got some big news that we need to discuss. Poland, the Polish.
Thank you, Bernardo. This is a live from someone about Poland, and it was yesterday in the beginning of the evening, so pretty fresh. Yeah, so let's listen.
Liberation Force looks like it might actually move into Western Ukraine. We've got the Biden White House talking about seizing Russian citizens' assets. We have Canada talking about seizing Russian-Canadian citizens' assets. And we've also got news that Poland is buying Russian gas via reverse gas flows from Germany. So I'm going to cross over here, over the median. Don't do this at home, but all right. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's my shortcut crossing the street. But just so much breaking news. It's really super windy here in Cyprus. But I've got a good little mic here. So much breaking news. It's really super windy here in Cyprus. Wind guard on it, so I think I've got a good little mic here. Sound pretty good. So let's get started and talk about the big news, which is the possible Polish entry into the west of Ukraine. I talked about this in my video this morning with regards to Putin's warning, where Putin said, don't you dare enter this war or else we're going to hit you with lightning speed. I actually talked about this story. Gosh, I talked about this story. I remember I was in Athens, Greece, and I was at the Zapio. I was at the Zapio area in Greece, and it was when Biden had gone to Warsaw, and he gave his, Putin must go, regime change speech. And I talked about how the U.S. officials, Biden and his team of consultants and military guys that were with him, how they were talking about a possible Polish liberation force, Poland entering the conflict. And that was I think that was like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago maybe. So I think this has been kind of like a plan of last resorts, or at least one of the plans of last resort, as the situation in Ukraine were to crumble. Then they would say, you know what? Why don't we get Poland to jump in and at least take the West? And so I think what you might be seeing is you might be seeing this as a consolation prize. This is how the collective West may actually try to save face. They may say, let's get Finland and let's get Sweden into NATO. So we get 2 new countries into NATO, and let's get Poland into the west of Ukraine to at least take the Lviv area and some territory around there. And maybe they may even make a play for Kiev, though I doubt it. I don't think they have the military wherewithal to go all the way to Kiev, but it's a possibility. Either way, this may be kind of the way that the EU and the collective West saves face, is to try and just snatch a piece of territory.
Disclaimer, by the way. One source is not a source, and someone says about someone says. Yeah, that's like it's his own opinion, his thoughts. So I don't underwrite what he's saying. It's just some audio for underneath the webcams at the moment.
Ukraine. And of course, there may be the other possibility that Poland may enter the west of Ukraine in order to try and prevent Russia, or send a message to Russia so as to not create that land bridge in the south through Odessa and all the way to Transnistria. That's a possibility, though. I don't think so. I don't think that would be the reason for going into the West. Look, the head of intelligence, the head of the SVR of Russian intelligence, Sergei Narushkin, talked about this in the morning, that they have credible intelligence. The Russians have very, very credible intelligence saying that that Poland is ready to move in. This is not going to be a NATO-sponsored operation either. They're going to move in as Poland, independent of NATO, but with the support of the United States. And for the head of Russian intelligence, for Narushkin to come out with this statement, then you know that they have really, really good intel backing this up, that it's solid. And it has the blessing of the Kremlin. So, the Kremlin definitely gave their okay to come out with this intel and with this statement. Of course, they want to let Poland, and they want to let the United States know that, that the Russians are on to their plan. But the big news is that you had reports saying that, Poland is starting to move their military to the east and to the south. So it looks like they're preparing. All the wheels are in motion. Does it mean this is going to happen? No, we don't know. Poland is saying that they're just getting ready for military drills, which are going to take place on the 1st of May. If you buy that, I have a bridge to sell you. But, military drills are usually planned weeks, if not months in advance. So if these are legitimate drills, then, they're on record. So that it could be true that this is just your standard military drills, but the coincidence of it all tells me that we're looking at the possibility that they have a really good this conflict. What will Russia do if Poland enters this conflict? Well, Narushkin says that the tactical goal of this operation to enter the West for Poland is to figure out a way to create a Polish presence in Ukraine that is going to be sympathetic to Warsaw, as well as creating a movement in Ukraine that will purge the West of nationalism, of the Nazi nationalism as well, and create more of a Polish-backed, Polish ideology entity in the West. That's what the tactical operation, according to Narushkin, is meant to accomplish. It's crazy, man. It's just freaking crazy. But it is kind of an admission that the west of Ukraine has a nationalist problem, isn't it? But what will Russia do? What will Russia do? Well, I have two thoughts on this. Russia will either do nothing, or they're going to annihilate the Polish troops that enter the west of Ukraine. I think it's going to be one of the two. And because this is not a NATO operation, it means that Russia doesn't run the risk. None of us around the world run the risk of this thing going into some sort of nuclear standoff, because it's not going to be Russia versus NATO. It will be Russia versus Poland, with the U.S. acting as the backing up of the Polish initiative. So the Polish troops are going to be the proxy. But the U.S. can easily cut off Poland if things go badly. They can easily say, we don't know what Poland was thinking, and they can just cut Poland loose if Russia does decide to send some missiles towards the west and annihilate the troops that enter Ukraine. I mean, it sounds to me like they're going to be kind of like sitting ducks if they enter the west of Ukraine, and if Russia does decide to take military action. Let's go this way. I'm going to need to sit down somewhere. The other option is that Russia doesn't do anything. If you go by Putin's warnings, you would come to the conclusion that Russia's going to do something, and they're going to do something devastating if Poland enters. But the other option could be that Russia just says, you know what? Let Poland take Lviv. Let them take this area. We didn't want it anyway. And we'll just gobble up everything west of Kiev, and we'll just move all the way down south to Transnistria. And what you'll have is a much smaller rump Ukraine in the northwest of Europe, in the northwest of the area, and that's what you'll have. So, this could be kind of Russia's way of saying, you want the West full of Bandera statues and this Nazi ideology? Take it, Poland. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's a possibility. Russia may not do anything. They just might let Poland take Lviv and leave it at that. Not let them go a step further. Just kind of get Lviv and a little sliver past Lviv, not all the way to Kiev, and just leave it there. And then Russia just continues the operation swiftly and methodically, and just takes over, everything from Kiev down to Odessa. So, I mean, it is big news. And once again, I don't know that this is going to happen, but we do have the reports coming from Narushkin, the intelligence chief. Those reports, you have to believe that those reports are very reliable. And you have the reports saying that Poland, they're moving troops. Now, it could be for military exercises, but they're moving troops east. And, east of Poland is, southeast of Poland is the west of Ukraine. So we'll see what's going to happen. Let me see if I've got any quotes pulled up that I can pass on to everybody. According to the alleged plan, the first stage of the reunification will see Polish peacekeepers deployed in western Ukraine under the pretext of protection from Russian aggression, Narushkin outlined in a statement on Thursday. Warsaw has so far been unable to find any other nations to join its cause, Narushkin said, but the Polish authorities are unconcerned by this, as they want to minimize the number of unnecessary witnesses to their actions, Narushkin said. These are all quotes from Narushkin, the security head, the SVR head of Russia. Despite their publicly declared goal of countering Moscow, the Polish troops would be deployed in parts of Ukraine where they'll have almost no chance of engaging Russian forces, Narushkin explained. According to Russian data, the actual tactical objective of the Polish troops will be taking control of strategic facilities from the Ukrainian National Guard. Poland's intelligence services are apparently now searching for reliable members of the Kiev elite who would be willing to form a pro-Warsaw counterbalance to Ukrainian nationalists. These are incredible statements coming from Narushkin. Incredible statements. Look, I'll leave this story there. We'll see what happens. If this does take place, this is huge. It's terrifying, but it's huge. Absolutely huge. It wouldn't surprise me because, the Polish Prime Minister just the other day came out with a statement. Morawiecki said that the EU sanctions are simply not working and we have to do other things. Very interesting statement. When I read his statement, it kind of caught my attention and I said, that's an interesting statement from the Polish Prime Minister. What more could they possibly do? Because they've tried every single sanction, and they've thrown it all at Russia, and it hasn't done anything. The ruble's at like 73 now, the ruble to the USD. The Russian economy is doing fine. Has its problems, but it's doing fine. We did a live stream just now, and Alexander said that in the first quarter, Russia is going to be showing a growth of like 3%. We shouldn't read too far into it because Russia's going to see a decline in its economy in the next quarters. But, it's handled the sanctions really, really well. And this is driving the EU crazy. And it's driving the United States and Poland absolutely, off the wall. Is that the statement? It's driving them up the wall. It's driving them up the wall. Look, Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki said this. This is what he said on Wednesday. So far, we see that Russia, unfortunately, is coping well with the sanctions. He was speaking to reporters, and he added that in order to correct the situation, Warsaw would work on developing new penalties. Moscow said that the sanctions have failed to strangle the Russian economy. Putin said that step by step, using all sorts of pretexts, sometimes just without any pretexts, they introduced new restrictions. And it did not work. It has not crumbled the Russian economy, Putin said. So, the Prime Minister of Poland, the real leader of Poland, Kaczynski, who's the real Prime Minister and President of Poland, he's also going crazy because they were so hell-bent on seeing Russia destroyed that their hysteria, their hate, these politicians, their hate for Russia may actually lead them to decide to enter the west of Ukraine. Like I said, this is the final plan, the final option that the collective West, that the Biden White House, that the Polish government has in order to save some sort of face and in order to get something out of this failed Ukraine project. And that something is going to be Finland and Sweden and NATO and some sort of sliver of West Ukraine, which they will continue to call Ukraine. This will act as like the real legitimate Ukraine. That's what they're thinking. They're saying, let's get this west of Ukraine. That'll be where we set up the government. Lviv will be the capital, and that will be the officially internationally recognized government of Ukraine. And everything else that Russia is going to get will be illegitimate. And that's how they're going to, at least in their head, in their planning, I'm thinking that's how they're positioning this. Don't forget, in my video this morning, I said that that Lloyd Austin and a bunch of NATO defense ministers and generals, 40 of them, were sitting in Germany, in the Ramstein air base, and they were plotting out their next moves. Something is coming. Something is coming. Something wicked this way comes. So let's see here. While we're on the subject of Poland, there is this statement from Gazprom, which is saying that Poland continues to buy Russian gas. It's just buying it at a higher price from Germany, and it's doing this via reverse gas flows. So a Gazprom exec said on Thursday that Poland continues to buy Russian natural gas from Germany via reverse flows after its direct supplies were suspended due to the non-payment in rubles. Quote, "This week, Poland refused to pay for the Russian gas with the new terms in rubles. It was grandly announced that they no longer needed Russian gas and would not buy it anymore. But in fact, Poland keeps buying Russian gas after the direct supply was halted. It now buys the gas from Germany, and it comes back to Poland with the reverse flow via the Yamal-Europe pipeline." This is according to Sergei Kupryanov, Gazprom's official representative. So, yeah. Same Russian gas, just a hell of a lot more expensive, and you have to go through all these little reverse gas flow technicalities and procedures and troubles to get it. But at the end of the day, it's the same damn Russian gas. Ay, ay, ay. So let's do a final story. And that has to do with Biden and with Trudeau. The Trudeau government and the Biden government and this new legislation. It used to be, people used to say this was just rumors, but now this is like real legislation that's being proposed, I think both in Canada and definitely in the United States, and that is for these countries, these beacons of democracy and human rights and respect for private property. These governments are actually thinking of confiscating Russian citizen assets, and supposedly these assets are going to go to Ukraine, right? Supposedly. Let's walk up this way. Someone is doing some TikTok videos. Maybe you'll catch them. Someone's doing TikTok dance moves, but maybe we'll get them on film. I'll be very sneaky about it. But you have the Biden White House actually saying this. The Biden White House, the U.S. House of Representatives, has passed a non-binding bill calling for assets of wealthy Russian individuals to be used to support Ukraine. The House passed a non-binding bill on Wednesday calling on President Joe Biden to impound the assets of wealthy Russians and individuals believed to have ties to the Kremlin. Under the plan, confiscated capital will go towards supporting Ukraine. Named the Asset Seizure for Ukraine Reconstruction Act. The bill was backed by 417 lawmakers. The document urges the U.S. president to confiscate, and this is a quote, confiscate any property or accounts subject to jurisdiction of the United States valued over $2 million and belonging to Russian energy companies or to foreign persons whose wealth is derived in part through corruption linked to or political support for the regime of Russian President Vladimir Putin. You know, the people that actually abstained from this bill was the group that actually voted against this bill. Among the 8 lawmakers who did not support this legislation were Democrats and Republicans, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Chip Roy of Texas, to name a few. What an interesting mix of people that actually do not support the confiscation of people's assets and private property. Talk about thievery. So, according to this legislation being proposed in the US, and I'm sure it's the same type of flavor in Canada, they're in order to go after the corrupt Putin government, they're going to steal people's private property. That's their logic. In order to go after the corrupt Russian oligarchs, they're going to confiscate Russian assets in the United States. The confiscation of private property based on a nationality, an ethnicity, a culture. The United States, human rights, the respect for private property. This is what's become of Biden's America. And of course, all of this property that these government officials confiscate, of course, is going to go towards the reconstruction of Ukraine. Is it going to be diverted to this Polish territory, or where is this money going to go? You know, it's just going to go to their pockets. This is another part of the panic final act backup plan that's taking place as Ukraine crumbles, as Zelensky crumbles. Now the real theft begins. We're talking like the looting. Now the looting begins. The pickpocketing begins. And so all these corrupt politicians are just going to start seizing assets and grabbing whatever they can grab as the whole house of cards crumbles. They've taken $300 billion in Russian foreign reserves, and now they're just going to loot whatever's left of the shop. So, yeah, this money is not going to go to any sort of Ukraine reconstruction, because the way things look, there's not going to be much of a Ukraine left, especially if Poland gets involved. So anyway, I think I'm going to leave the video there. Very windy, very noisy. Downtown Nicosia, Cyprus. I think this is the busiest you've probably seen Cyprus, to be honest. But it's after work and people are out and about. So theduran.locals.com, everybody. Check out Alexander's channel. Check out our live stream that we just did with Gonzalo. It was a great live stream. Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock on this Thursday morning in Nicosia, Cyprus. And I thought we would do a quick video update and talk about Putin's speech to the Council of Legislators in St. Petersburg. And let's also talk about the gas for rubles. We have another country